Welcome back in, everybody. My name is Chris. Welcome to Bourbinsane. We're back today and we've got another top 5 list. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 most affordable and available rye whiskeys on the market. Let's get into it. Alright, now this is a question I get a lot of times with people who reach out. They ask, hey, what's a good everyday starter bourbon? And then they'll say, what's a good starter rye? Now, rye is one of those categories that's really starting to become more popular, especially in recent years. It's a wonderful grain, and when it's made right and done right, it's a really, really good end product. Can be a really good end product. A lot of different rye whiskeys now saturating the market. I've got my own personal top 5 list. Now, rules for today, we do have a few. So similar to my top 5 bourbons you should have on your bar, it has to be available in most parts of the country. Again, this is going to be just in the United States, which is as far as I know. Affordable. So for affordable, I want it to be between $35 and $40 max. Now that's for almost all parts of the country. I don't want it to go over that price point. So $40 is going to be the very top end. And last rule, just with the previous episodes, it should have a good quality bottle ratio. You know, quality to the whiskey that's actually in the bottle for your money. You know, so that's a really, really important part of selecting what product you're going to get. Let's get right into our top 5. A lot of options out there. Let's see what we've got. All right, coming in at number 5. Now this is the one bottle that could be debated about availability, and I'll get into why I think it was included. Sazerac Rye, or Baby Saz. Lots of parts of the country, from what I've heard, this is tough to get. Me, locally, this is showing up 6 or 7 times a year right now. Now, I've mentioned before, pretty much all Buffalo Trace products are allocated, and I would agree this is still allocated, but this is the one rye, or the one product of their line that I think I'm able to find most often, with the exception of Buffalo Trace and Eagle Rare, at least locally for me. Like I said, about 6 or 7 times this year, just in Michigan alone, it popped up, and I feel like our distribution's crap, so that's why I included it. And of course, the juice in the bottle is very good. This comes in at 51% rye, as I mentioned, out of Buffalo Trace. 45% ABV, so very respectable proof. And just the flavor you get out of this, it's extremely, extremely friendly. If you're a bourbon drinker looking to convert to rye whiskey, you're not sure about it, but you love the sweetness that bourbon provides, Sazerac Rye is a really, really good option. It gives you all those sweet notes. I've done this blind a lot of times, and honestly, sometimes I can't even tell if it's a rye whiskey, depending on the day. As you drink more of it, you kind of get to know the flavor profile, but it's that sweet. You know, it gives a whole bunch of sweetness with awesome fresh fruits, orange, citrus, cherry even, with a little bit of that rye kick too. You know, so it's still introducing you to rye whiskey, but this is one, if you can find it, which I think you're going to be able to, hopefully in the future, especially now that they're making more juice, it should be on your bar. Now this would have ranked higher on my list, but because of the possibility you guys won't be able to find this sometime throughout the year, I put this at number 5 just so other available options will be ahead of it. Coming in at number 4 is a product coming out of one of my favorite distilleries, Jim Beam Distillery, and this is Knob Creek Rye. Now this bottle I have here is actually a single barrel Knob Creek Rye, which is 115 proof. I wish I could have included this, but this in most parts of the country is going to be plus $40 plus. So that's why I didn't include it. But what we want to talk about today is the small batch Knob Creek. A lot of people don't give this one a lot of love. And for me personally, the flavor profile just agrees with me. It's a 51% rye, at least that's what it's thought to be. But honestly, it gives a lot more rye kick than the 51%. I mean, if I didn't know better, I would say it's up to in the 60s even. It gives a lot more of that white pepper, baking spice kick, and you can feel it on the back of your palate. I actually just finished my bottle of Knob Creek Rye, the 100 proof, which is what the standard bottling is. And for me, it was right around $35 to $38, I believe. And it's just an excellent offering. It's such a good cocktail rye because, as I mentioned, more of that rye spice does come through. So it's very versatile. It's still good enough to drink neat, and it's got the beautiful 100 proof. Proof is an amazing thing, and it helps the Knob Creek especially. This is one, if you have not had Knob Creek Rye, I would recommend you get it. As I mentioned, you can use it for multiple things. It's great with ice as well, which I have done. So go pick up yourself a bottle, you will not be disappointed. Moving on to number 3 on my list, speaking of cocktail ryes, this is pretty much my go-to cocktail rye. Rittenhouse Rye bottled in bond. Now this product's coming out of Heaven Hill, 100 proof bottled in bond, got that 4 years, bonded warehouse. Overall just a very, very nice rye. You get a good balance of sweetness along with the rye spice you want. But as I mentioned, this is Cocktail City. A lot of people will ask, what's the go-to cocktail rye you use, and this is it. I think this has a really, really nice balance of the rye with the sweetness. This is only a 51% rye. This is the younger brother of Pikesville Rye, which, as a lot of you know, is one of my favorite ryes. Unfortunately, again, maybe $40 plus in lots of parts of the country, so I know it's $45 here, so I couldn't include it. Wish I could have, that would have been so high on the list. But Rittenhouse is a nice replacement. It is. It's not off-putting where I don't want to drink it neat, but it's got the balance of sweetness and spice that I love it mixed in an old-fashioned. This and Knob Creek Rye, as I just mentioned, are both nice cocktail whiskeys for me. If I'm feeling like I want more of that rye bite and rye spice, I will go for the Knob Creek. But the Rittenhouse Rye is just an excellent offering from Heaven Hill. And a lot of you have probably tried this. This is one of the most popular rye whiskeys on the market. And if you haven't, you should definitely pick it up. Alright, before we move on to our top 2 affordable rye whiskeys, I just want to take a second and say thank you for watching this episode. Hope you guys are enjoying it. As I did with my top whiskeys you should have on your bar, I am going to be doing a blind head-to-head tasting of these 5 rye whiskeys that I discussed today. This is going to be a lot tougher, I think. Rye whiskeys, I'm not as confident as I am with bourbons at a blind tasting, so I think that's going to be an entertaining episode. Make sure you guys are all staying tuned for that. It's going to be a good one. Alright, moving on to our top 2 available and affordable rye whiskeys. We've got one that really took me by surprise, and I didn't really discover it till about a year ago. Wild Turkey 101 Rye. Just a fantastic offering from Wild Turkey. When I think Wild Turkey, I don't really think about the rye whiskey, honestly. I think about the 101, the Rare Breed, all their wonderful bourbon expressions. But this rye whiskey is really something great. 51% rye. This comes in a liter bottle. Now this liter is about $40, so you gotta think the 750 is gonna be between $30, $35 for that. Great value. I mean, great value on that. I just love the flavor profile. For those of you that don't know, Bruce Russell is gonna be taking over for Eddie when Eddie's done. It's Eddie Russell's son. He's a huge rye guy, and I don't know if he's having influence on the rye that they're putting out now. I heard he had some help on the Cornerstone that was just released, but their rye is really good. As mentioned, it's not discussed much, not really talked about, but it's got an awesome balance of sweetness, like citrusy, fresh fruits, creaminess even, and the black pepper on the back of the palate, that rye spice you want. Coming in like barely legal rye, very friendly still. If you like proof, this is the proof. I mean, this is the proof you want, 101. I have not tried their 84, but I'm guessing it's gonna be good still. I just want the burn. I really do when I drink my whiskey. So this one, honestly, I do tend to drink neat versus in a cocktail. Not that you can't drink in a cocktail, the higher the proof, the better in a cocktail usually. I just like the flavor profile of this so much that I do tend to drink it neat. I really hope Wild Turkey continues to experiment with rye expressions because they've hooked me. They have hooked me, and I would love to see them convert more to those rye versus just bourbon. Alright, moving on to number 1. A lot of you can probably already guess what this is going to be for me, personally. Number 1 whiskey of our top 5 available and affordable ryes, Old Forester Rye. I've talked about this so many times. I've talked about this bottle so many times, a lot of us have. $25 bottle, and it's just freaking delicious. It really is. 100 proof. They use the higher barley content in this whiskey, so 20% barley, along with the higher rye, which I think is around like a 65 rye, something like that. And it's just really good. The barley adds this extra layer of complexity and almost like earthiness to the whiskey. It's not your typical rye whiskey. If you think like your Rittenhouse, you think your Knob Creek, it's a different flavor profile, but that's what makes it awesome and makes it interesting and makes it unique. It does hold true to the Old Forester flavor profile. It's got that almost banana note, but the rye spice and the rye citrus makes it really, really nice. Another one that I have no problem drinking neat or in a cocktail, and I do both all the time. I'd say it's about 50-50 with this. This, I think a really cool idea for an episode would be to make like 5 old fashions with all these rye whiskeys and find out what's the best old fashioned. You know, what type of rye whiskey makes the best old fashioned? They're all going to taste different. This gives me more of that banana chocolate note that Old Forester tends to have, along with that earthy floral note that the barley brings out. So it's very interesting, very unique. But as far as the value of the bottle, $25. And the great thing about Old Forester is the availability. It is literally everywhere now. You can find all their products anytime you want. I don't know of a single one that's on allocation short of birthday bourbon. You know, birthday bourbon and like the President's Choice, but those are limited releases. But as far as their normal core line goes, Old Forester, they're doing it the right way. I really hope they continue to. I hope other distilleries take note and start following along. This is a loaded top 5. Old Forester takes the cake, and for good reason. As mentioned, we are going to be doing all these blind. We're going to do them all blind, head to head, side by side. It'll be coming real soon, and it's going to be a real challenge for me at the end of the episode to try to pick out what my favorite is and pick out, I guess, what I think they are, if I even can. It's going to be a lot of fun. As mentioned, these are all rye whiskeys, you know, and I don't think I'm as good at picking out the differences in rye as I am with picking out the differences in bourbon. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that episode goes, but I am really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for joining me for this new episode of our top 5 available and affordable rye whiskeys. Hope you guys agreed with some of the choices I made. I hope you guys disagreed with some of the choices I made. Let me know down in the comments below, what is your favorite available and affordable rye whiskey? If not, give me your whole top 5. You know, what would you choose as your top 5, and what do you guys always keep stocked? I really want to hear it. Just have to give a quick thank you to a couple brand new patrons who just joined the Bourbinsane family. Got 5 new patrons recently: Bradley Nagy, John Krantz, Ralph DiGirolamo, I apologize, brother, I'm drying, Brett Rushing, and Jeff Robichaud. Thank you all so much for joining the Bourbinsane family. If you have not checked out my Patreon page, please do check it out. A lot of cool benefits and perks going on over there, and we have a great community already. I'm hoping to do a lot more in 2020 as far as blind tastings go, more of these episodes of my top 5s, my favorite personal things. But I want to hear all your favorites as well. So please do let me know. I do have a few challenge coins left if you guys are interested in getting those as well. We're getting low now, but if you do want them, please do let me know. You can shoot me an email, bourbinsane@gmail.com, and we'll get you those as well. Thank you all for being here today. Make sure you do stay tuned very, very soon for our blind head-to-head rye whiskey tasting. Stay insane, everyone.